Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Job Breakdown. Today we're taking a look at Ninja. Ninja is one of the best jobs in this game, in my opinion. It has a ton of great raid utility. It has a ton of great party synergy. It has a ton of great abilities. It's a lot of fun to mess around with. Its kit is not that difficult to understand, but has a lot of intricacies that once you have a pretty good idea of how the job plays, you're able to increase your own skill with the job in a really cool way. There's a lot to love about Ninja, and the two big things to focus on here are the mudras that allow you to cast very different actions, and the Ninki gauge that allows you to use various different actions. We're going to start with Tenchi Jin, since it's the one that I see people complain about the most. Tenchi Jin allows you to use your mudras, but if you use a mudra you have already used, you cannot use it again. From the way that works is that you're going to want to start with one mudra, then use a second mudra, and then use your third mudra, the whole time casting your jutsus in between. With Tenchi Jin active, you cannot move at all. And this is probably the weakest part about the job, to be honest, but it doubles the potency of your mudras, of your jutsu itself. So it allows you to do quite a bit more damage than you would have been able to do otherwise. If you stack that in with a trick attack, you are able to do quite a bit of damage, especially because while using Tenchi Jin, you get your mudras back even if they're on cooldown. There's a lot of different ways to get your mudras back. We're going to get into that again in just a little bit. But Tenchi Jin is a much better skill than people give it credit for. I still wish you could move a little bit in it. I wish that it was more like ley lines where you could leave it and then come back and still be able to use it. Understand why they gave it what it did, and for all the other pros that Ninja has, it makes sense to me that it is the negative, but I do wish that it was better. Your other Ninki moves are Babakakra, that allows you to do quite a bit of damage, and you can use Mug to instantly refill a ton of Ninki gauge. And then Hellfrog Medium, which is your AoE. Your other AoEs will be things like Doton, which is really good. Allows you to paint that entire area in damage, and your Death Blossom, which allows you to just throw down daggers from the sky. Death Blossom doesn't do as much damage as I would like, but it's really quick. It does not cost as much as a lot of other AoE skills, and you're able to throw it out really quickly. So onto the mudras themselves, the different ways you can get them back and what they do. You start off with 10. 10 cast on its own allows you to use Fuma Shuriken, and then when you pair it with Jin and Chi, you get different effects. As we build back up to them here, we will use a Tenchi Jin to show it. 10 followed by Chi gives you Gyotan, followed by Jin gives you Doton. And this is one of those things that I see a lot of people struggle with as well, as they go, you know, hey, how could I ever remember this? The tooltips don't tell me which one goes to which. It kind of just becomes something that you internalize. You just get a handle on it at some point, and you can sometimes confuse them, and it can be annoying, but for the most part, you just kind of get used to it. And I know that's a harsh way to put it, but that's basically what it is. If you start with Chi, you get Fuma Shuriken, which is the way that it will work with any of them. So from now on, we'll just be showing the second one. We're going to use a Kasetsu to get them back right away. Chi followed by 10 gives you Katon, which is your AoE fireball. It is also important to note at this point that mudras do not cost any TP to use. So mudras are an amazing way to use damage when you're low on TP. You should always be weaving them in, basically. You also have abilities like Dream Within a Dream that allow you to do some really good damage. We'll do Jin, just Suiton. I'm sorry, it's Jin. No, Chi, Tien, Jin. I was right. Which gives Suiton, which allows you to cast Trick Attack, which makes it where the boss takes 10% more damage for 10 seconds. Really good time to start using things like Duality and getting in a bunch of extra damage while that is up. Very good time to do that. You may have noticed that I used True North beforehand as well. Trick Attack is only able to get that effect when it's done from the rear. So something like a True North to allow you to do it on a striking dummy or on a boss that moves a lot, or it can kind of hard to level up where the back of the enemy exactly is a very good idea, especially because sometimes bosses turn. So it's not a bad idea at all to pair that with True North. It does mean your trick attacks won't come up as often as they could, and maybe it's something there you want to, you know, use it and then not use it, and then use it again, but it does work out. We'll Tenchi Jin again. This time we'll go Chi, Jin, Ten, which allows you to get Hyotan, which gives you... There it is, of course, because we still had Tenchi Jin going. Hyotan gives you extra weapon skill speed, so you're able to attack faster. You can renew it without having to use the mudras again by getting to Armor Crush, which refills it by a small amount. Then you have things like your Shadow Fang, which increase their slashing, or decrease their slashing resistance. That's not correct. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. I guess I've always thought that it does still reduce it, but it's also a dot. Okay, I was right, but I was also wrong. I'm sorry. When you pair all of this together with what it's able to do, you get some really nice combinations. We also haven't shown off Raiton, which is your single target good damage dealer for when you really just want to throw out some good Mudra damage. And then we have the ability to pop Hyotan, get in a trick attack, and just do tons of damage. Baba Kakra, get in with some really nice damage here and just stack it up. It is worth it to mention that Ninja has some of the lowest DPS of all the DPSs on its own. But I think what it brings to the table with the Mudras, with its AoEing, with specifically Trick Attack on a 60-second timer, every minute you can reduce the boss's vulnerability, is really good. And that's not even all that Ninja has that it can bring. You also have the damage that Mudras can do. You have the other support abilities that we're about to get into. It has a dedicated silence. Mug that increases your Ninki gauge, allows you to increase the chance of items being dropped. Definitely something that you're going to want if you're trying to farm for specific equipment or for specific drops. You have quick get-ins and outs with Shikuchi that allows you to just be gone and back in a different place. You have Goad, which used to be Ninja specific, but now is still a great role action and should be brought every time. If your tank's having a hard time holding on to aggro, you dump 80% of your aggro to Shadewalker, or to the person you cast Shadewalker on, which is really solid. You're going to see me use Suiton a lot. It's my go-to because I like to be able to pop in the trick attacks. I can't do it right now because my True North's not up, and I timed it wrong, so my window's going to fall off, which I wanted to be able to... See, there we go, window fell off. I wanted to be able to show you guys at some point. It has a decent ranged attack in throwing daggers. It's not amazing, but it's there. Kasatsu that allows you to use another Mudra Jutsu right away. Then you have things like Hide, which may not seem very useful in battle because obviously you can't use it in a fight, right? But if you're not in combat, right before the pull, you cast a quick Yotan and then use Hide, and you have your Mudra back for the fight right away. From there, role actions, you're going to want to bring Second Wind for sure, you're going to want to bring Bloodbath for sure, Diversion for sure, Goad for sure, and Invigorate. And then most of the rest of what I bring is not role actions, because Ninja doesn't really need that anymore. It already has a lot of the other options. You can still bring Feint. Feint's not a bad choice. Sometimes I swap Second Wind out for Feint if I trust my healer, and I have a healer that I really trust. But I can already drop the boss's defense. I kind of just focus on that, you know? But Feint is a good option if you have more room on your hotbars. You have things like Smokescreen that allow you to reduce somebody else's immunity generation. So if your healer's getting too much generation, you can do that. And you have things like Shade Shift that give you a shield for 20 seconds that takes up to 20% of your maximum HP. It's pretty good. Ninja's a really strong job, and I think what it brings to the table is really cool. The only real changes that I would like to see to Ninja is maybe making Tenchi Jin able to be moved out of, where you, like, any movement at all cancels Tenchi Jin right now, which is a huge bummer. Because, like, for instance, if you cast it and then get an AoE right away, it's like, well, too bad, you know? But I'm really happy where Ninja's at right now. I think it's really powerful, and I'm just excited to see what they add. I need more room on my hotbars for whatever else they add, but, you know. Until next time, though, I've been Trey, this has been the Full Spectrum, and remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that Ninja has to offer.